All right, guys, here we're going to talk about the movie, The People Under the Stairs. 1991's The People Under the Stairs. Lee, had you seen it before?
No! I've been bluffing this whole time. Oh, it feels so good to come clean. I'm a hack fraud. I've just been, yeah, Sean Whalen. Oh, totally. Oh, yeah, so scary. I had no idea what it was. I went in totally blind. It was great.
Oh, this movie is a classic. I remember seeing this far too young. It was we were like,
sure.
Oh, Mighty Ducks. Oh, that's the same kid. Must be the same type of Johnson. Ah, what's happening to Ving Rhames?
It's the kid that hangs out with Michael Jackson. Oh, it's so good.
Yes, this is a big recommend for me. I think.
Oh, you should see it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's super fun.
I'm gonna be a little critical. I think it kind of falls apart towards the end, and we'll need to spoil everything to get into the details.
There's a lot to talk about, and yes, much of this movie does not make sense, but it does not change one iota of it being a fun ride.
No, I was gonna say I love it though, and then the third act sort of happens, and I'm like, okay, I like it. It's good. It's not the perfect film anymore.
No, I have lots of problems, and we'll get into some spoilers. So if you've seen it or don't care, false over spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
All right, guys, so here we are for the spoilers of People Under the Stairs. So this is your first time, the maiden voyage on People Under the Stairs. What did you think?
I really liked it. I liked it and we're not gonna, you can watch some other show if you want to hear about racism and class struggle and all that stuff. But I love that stuff's in there, and I love another movie where I'm like, if this was made today, everyone would be like, oh, it's too woke, what are you doing? Oh, you made the white family just like hilariously evil, it's so unrealistic, how dare you?
Got him!
And then it wouldn't do well, and they'd be like, get woke, go broke, see? Proof. Horror should be just deaths. No dialogue even. Just don't put anything in the movie.
I think my problem is that every time Wes Craven does anything that remotely features anybody of a different race, he dramatizes it to like Vampire in Brooklyn type stuff where I'm like, this is like a joke. What is happening here?
That's hilarious. Yes.
Just that what he envisioned that apartment building in the hood, just wild dogs in the apartment,
yes. It's like Mad Max. And stuff.
It was a joke. It's like a satire.
You can criticize it for being crude and not woke enough, but I feel like I'm saying the opposite. Too woke, whatever. But putting that aside, it's great. I love contraptions. I love passageways. This satisfied all of my itches. I feel like you're going to be like,
no, I love it.
Why is the wall so big? Or something.
There was a thing, and that's an old house. They established it's very old. Yeah. That they did that, and I don't even understand the reason then. And I believe it was something about for construction purposes we need these channels of air for a cushioning of whatever.
It's
or something.
A fake house. This is always
they did have those things did exist. This house doesn't make any sense because of the number of trap doors and weird shit.
This is a labyrinth. There's more house behind the walls than there is house. The house is a fourth dimensional hypercube. It's doesn't make any sense. But I love that. I'm this magical land of wonder behind the walls and in the basement.
Yes,
it's great.
And I don't know if some of this was because back in the day servants would travel in these passageways, or I like the idea of the dog having a tunneling system through the thing. I'm like, that's cool.
Come on, kill him, Vince. Kill him.
He lives in the wall there. There's rib cages of people fucking in there. I'm like, that's cool.
Munching on a rib cage, yeah.
It's the things that are weird where you're like, okay, are you trying to posit an idea that Roach made some of these things? That one trap where he's like, what? Huh? And he triggers it and the dog hits a fucking slide and ends up, I'm like, what? It had to move part of their kitchen stuff for that to happen.
Do you hear something?
It's literally like when you pull a switch and the train goes ka-chunk, moves the thing. Yeah, shit turning into ramps and doing that reminded me of Nothing But Trouble. When they go down a big slide of death, and the dog's like just going. That was crazy and outlandish. That happens later though, and I'm like, oh, the movie's falling apart now. It doesn't make any sense.
There's a lot of things are like that though. When Roach pops out of the cabinet. and then like the dad's like, wait, where did he come from? Like again, did Roach make this?
Oh, you mean like the medicine cabinet?
Yeah,
yeah, where the dad's like, well, there's another hole in the wall, and like an elaborate series of traps and like levers and things, and it's like, yeah, bitch, that's your house. Like when you walk out of that room, there should be just like 10 feet of like, oh, I don't know what's in there. There's no room in there, right?
Yeah. And like the house is big, and they make a point of saying like, "Ooh, it just keeps on going," but I'm like, it's not that big.
Jesus, it goes on forever.
They added that dialogue later because it's just a shot of the house, and everyone looked at it and said, that house doesn't look nearly big enough to have all the things in it, so they had to have a character dub in a line that says, look at it, it goes on for, it's so huge.
It's definitely deep because it looks like an apartment cul-de-sac. Like there's like a pond in the middle of the house.
Yeah, it's like L-shaped or something. It has more. It's a big house. It has
wings.
But it's magic as well, right? Yeah.
And it's a combination of looking like the shittiest house ever, and then at certain points you're like, oh, it actually looks kind of nice here.
Amazing,
like, what is that? Like that's like a dingy, dilapidated, like grayscale bathroom, and then you're like, oh, it's a smoking room. Like that's kind of cool.
Yeah, with like, oh, the candelabra is here and stuff. Yeah.
Very, very, very weird combo there.
I love it though.
It's enjoyable.
It like reminds me of Goonies. It reminds me of at one point it reminded me of like Clue, but in like a bad way.
I represent the association of people who have been unjustly evicted, exploited, and generally fucked over.
Because like people keep coming to the door, and it reminded me of like it's your singing telegram. And then like the older, like grandpa shows up, and that was like when he's like, "Have you accepted Jesus?" When he does that part,
the movie falls apart there for me.
Get off my property!
Just want to finish saying our piece, man.
What? Repent. The kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Because the like lady even like reacts the way Miss Peacock does. She's like, what? And like leaves and stuff. I'm like, that's when I was like, okay, this is now like a fun, non-serious. I'm no longer like, I don't care who dies or what happens. This movie's just a joke. It's fun.
All I see are a couple of...
Hey, Ruby, right here.
That's that right. Busted your ass, bitch. Yeah.
Well, like, it keeps falling off harder and harder as the movie goes. But like, even from the jump, it's kind of dumb. Like, that dude goes into the basement for like, who knows what his plan was. He may have literally just got dropped in there in the first second of going down there because he dies of fright. They posit.
You thought he was white before? He was just sweet ass sucking now.
He's white, yes, but maybe he got hit with some of the dust that just fell and hit Fool anyway. So I don't know if that's what happened. Either way, though, he is dead.
He is dead.
But he's holding a gold coin. Yes. You're like, how the fuck did he get a golden coin? And what?
And like he was in there for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So like this idea that he stumbles upon the treasure and they notice that he has the treasure and then they outsmart him and like trick him onto the steps and then the steps become a ramp and he slides down and breaks his neck. And you're like,
but
what is happening?
But that also can't be what happened because his items are on the stairs, so they would have slid down too.
Well, no, they were lovingly placed there to stage so that Fool would go down there to investigate and could trap him too.
Now, there's like, so like that's dumb. Just in general, like the fact that these crazy people are keeping these unworthy children in the basement.
I call them mutants. That's not right.
They're
but that's
kind of mutants.
They're
lacking sunlight, so they're like completely albino looking, and they're cannibals because that's what they eat.
Yeah, they have like scurvy and they're cannibals or something.
But like keeping them alive is one thing, but giving them flashlights, I'm like, what the fuck?
So that's when I was like, and actually didn't check, but I'm like, was this a book? Is this like a Stephen King book or something? Like, is there a thing?
Maybe.
I don't know where this story
maybe a better book.
Well, but there's elements like that where I'm like, oh, okay, you're pulling stuff in that's like from a larger story that would make more sense, and it's like, yeah, because they have to have the daughter say like, oh, they give them flashlights and they're happy, I guess.
They get flashlights and food of some kind. I suppose they're happy in their own way.
And stuff to explain, like a later scene where they all shine their flashlights in the bad guy's face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, whatever.
Fine.
Fine.
I think another issue with the film is making them rich. I think it almost would have been better because how it's approached seems like they should be like, oh no, we have to get these people out because we have to flip these apartments and sell them because we're losing out.
Because like they're desperate.
Yeah, and it's almost set up that way because they're eating food he hunted.
damn buckshot.
So you're like, okay, they don't have a lot of money. He had to hunt the food they're eating. And if you look at the fireplace, they're burning furniture.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, that's usually a sign of poverty.
Exactly.
You don't just like
It gets
break
very
up
confusing,
old
yeah.
furniture and burn it. But they're also crazy. I get that.
So like that would have, I think that's based on the message that they're trying to do, because like I was also confused because I'm like, wait a minute, they have so much like treasure or something. But during the one speech, Grandpa kind of lays it out where he connects their insanity and their greed and their evilness like explicitly together. He's like, oh, it just kept, this like cycle kept going and it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And stuff. So like at that point I said like, okay, that explains all the weirdness with like the inconsistency or whatever.
The more money they got, the greedier they got. The greedier they got, the crazier they got. All sorts of rumors about what's going on in that place.
I would have established the grandfather character before we go to the house.
He shows up randomly. Who is
shows
this?
up randomly, and you're supposed to just go with God and know him, because
you don't know until
like,
he says later.
The family's having a lot of problems that maybe Grandpa could have assisted with.
I know, and he doesn't say like my daughter. So is he like I don't know what's going on.
No,
it's very confusing.
It's weird.
Well, figuring the rarity of these, you do have enough to pay your rent for a while. Say to the year 2000.
The whole rallying of the whole community is weird
stuff,
too, because they don't actually do anything. They're there, and then it's over.
You guys see where she went? Don't let her get away here. Hey, wait a minute!
We're there to collect some money, I guess.
Well, they celebrate.
Yes, but they
enjoy.
don't rush the house. They don't do anything. They don't get their revenge. They don't like to kill the two people like they would have been done, or find out they're murderers and get some mob justice, or have them burn the house down, something.
Right. In theory, they trap them there, but there's no like on the nose imagery of like a slave revolt where they're gonna like destroy these people. They're just outside to like enjoy the destruction that takes place within. Type of thing. Yeah.
And like I love these bad guy characters. I think they're perfectly cast.
She did it with him, I know it.
Not my little girl.
She's a whore.
He reminds me of what's his fucking name? Death from Bill and Ted.
Sadler.
William Sadler.
Yeah,
he's good. He has that vibe to him.
Shut the fuck up!
Like perfectly evil, and then he's in that Gimp suit. And this is great.
When he shows up in the Gimp suit, I was like, oh, this is a whole movie. This has a whole fucking. This has layers in it or something, right? What's going on? Because there's a very creepy, sexual, like weird vibe.
Yeah, mommy and daddy or whatever.
Yeah, like they call each other mommy and daddy, and like they're like religious, but there's a weird vibe, and then they're brother and sister, and all weird.
What do I do with the mommy?
It is time to clean house.
I still called them like mom and dad and daughter in my notes and stuff. But like, yeah, it's like overtly and over the toply creepy and gross and weird, and like these people are bad.
Yeah, but then cartoonish too, because all his reactions to being like hit and how he yells and screams, like all that shit is very over the top and funny.
Burn in hell for getting free, and burn in hell for showing the way.
Which also makes this movie a great watch.
No, I was gonna say, like, I'm gonna mention it again now, so we can get a third clip of him shouting a whole different thing. With his head stuck in something, and he's just like yells something.
He gets
really
beamed with what I think is like the top of the toilet at one point, and like the face he makes as he's about to get clobbered is genius.
His reactions are wonderful. It's way over the top, and I love that she's even like not putting up with his shit either.
Yeah.
At one point, he's like dancing around, like I got him, and she's like, "You just what? Well, we have to go prove it. We have to go do this, do that."
Prove it.
She's very whatever, but she's also over the top and crazy. The part with her with the knife at the end, like screaming and all this stuff.
One of the only physical effects that's bad is that her getting stabbed and pulling the knife out. It like just it didn't have to be in the scene. Like you didn't need to show it, and showing it was so bad. Like it's literally just like laying on the side of her clothing, and they just move it, and you're like, what is this? You had a budget. I watched it.
I understand the concept of the knife coming out. It's fine.
Yeah.
They play a little noise, like it's a knife noise, I think.
Like he destroys the house, like kicks the shit out of parts.
You're in there, you little piece of shit.
Shoots wildly everywhere. It's magically Scooby-Dooed away. It's just fixed because the cops come in, they don't notice anything. They're like, hey, there's gunshots everywhere.
In a sense, she still lives here. And always will.
What the fuck is this? And also, like, the wife's like, you can't fire a gun outside, but inside, people don't hear guns. That's fine.
Soundproof.
It does appear like it's soundproof because Fool is not heard whatsoever.
Hey, police! Police!
Yeah.
Even the banging doesn't go through. So, like, maybe they do appear to put money into the defense of their house.
Yeah. And I like those things because you're going to call them out like, oh, it's a problem, plot hole, nitpick thing or whatever. But I like that the movie at least, you know...
It tries to address it. Yeah.
Like, it established that they can't hear him when he's banging on the window. And also that the cops are super eager to be like, oh, yeah, guys, I mean, keep on, you know, let us know, we'll see you. And, like, they don't want to, like, bother the nice white people in this, like, analogy and stuff.
Yeah.
So they kind of do the same thing later.
It's as if we're the prisoners and the criminals roam free.
I know what you mean. Well, you're lucky you're all right. This van was used in a liquor store robbery last night.
Oh, goodness.
Where it's like, I think the house looks pristine for us, but it's mostly that they're giving them cookies and she washed her face and everyone's oh, we're all one big happy family here.
But you know, it's better there are a few false calls if we can prevent just one child from being abused.
Absolutely right.
And it's like underscoring that the cops are like really eager to like, oh, thanks, ma'am. Okay, well, see you. Sorry to bother you. Oh, your daughter? Oh, she's dead. Oh, I'm sorry. And they're all like, you know, getting. Whereas like that's not how cops would act normally. They would.
Well,
be
also
like,
for a like
we're checking
he calls
every
in like
room.
an abused child complaint
Yeah.
or whatever, and they send like 30 cars.
Yeah.
This real or what? Bogus. Place is clean. People don't even have kids.
They wouldn't do that at all.
They wouldn't even send anybody that day.
Like people are actually being abused and they don't send anybody.
Yeah, they like put you on a list where cops show up eventually, like
Yeah.
months later or something. Like, yeah.
A wellness check, maybe.
Right. They knock on the door. No one's here. No one's home, I guess, and they just leave. But that's less of a movie, so you gotta do it.
The line that I think I always think about when I think of this movie is, "I just popped the cherry on this house of defenses."
I done busted this house's cherry. It's open right up now.
Like he like breaks the door open and it makes like there's drawers that are faked out in front of windows that just like, and like slide away.
Yes.
And I was like, that's so weird.
And he goes
I
like,
love that. But
well, yeah.
what is that?
It's an amazing magic, you know, Mighty Boosh, earnest house contraption. But then he reacts like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. And you're like, what are you talking about? This should be like, what? The house is like the Addams Family house.
You're lucky I'm teaching you a trade, kid.
Like, what are we doing
There's
here?
a lot of weird stuff.
This is
Like
crazy.
at one point, a like trap of spikes shoots
Yes.
through, and that's when you're in the walls.
Yes.
And like, you know, obviously, Roach didn't set that one up, so the dad had to have been there at some point.
Yes.
There's only so much space in a house that Roach could be hiding that like he could actually be missing for years because he's like a teenager at the very least.
He's 47. Yeah.
He's I think 25 in real life,
Yeah.
but I think the character's supposed to be like younger.
Yeah.
I love. All right, the scene like when he has like no tongue. Probably the first scene I think about.
It just looks like he has black stuff on his tongue.
Yeah, it's just rot.
It's just gross.
His tongue's cut out.
Just a little bit of.
I'm like, oh, he was eating an ice cream sandwich or no, one of the cookies that has the crunch. He just licked it and I was
starving now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, wrap up. Get some ice cream sandwiches in here.
Maybe looking around a little bit. Make sure it's safe.
Maybe the president is gonna make me secretary of pussy.
I do love the balls on Fool though. Like he is scot-free. He is away. He comes back. He sneaks in. He fucking ball punches that dude. Which I'm like, that's ballsy. Because that guy's gigantic. Like when they see him, they're like, oh, he's like the size of Connecticut or whatever the fuck they say. Yeah, size of Detroit.
Get a man with the size of Detroit.
Like,
where I was like, well, he's thin though. It's like, you know, he's not.
He looks like something I wouldn't want to fuck with. Like you're like, yeah, that guy's crazy.
I mean, I don't want to fuck with anybody anyway, but yes, definitely not him. Sure.
That haircut, you're like,
he's obviously a psychopath.
Yeah, well,
when he has like the sweater and like the pipe and the hat and stuff.
Yeah.
Nice furniture. You didn't get that stuff at Price Club, that's for sure.
Because she's like, put your suit on, and then he puts on some weird. Where I'm like, what is he a duck hunter?
I love
what's
to
happening?
remove the hat, dab the blood, put the hat back on real suavely. I was like, okay,
no,
kid,
it's like
you got this.
You know, it's been in the family for years.
Yeah.
Used to be the house was used for business.
No kidding.
Like that sells to me because it's so crazy. Where I'm like, that is supposed to make the audience feel like you are dealing with some motherfuckers who have done this before. She says, "Get back in the house, clean yourself up.
Yeah,
the cops are coming."
They're
Right?
caked up for it because like they have like the PA system to put you on alert.
Daddy, police out back.
Like all the door lock things are like hidden in a panel.
Downstairs door.
He's got like the hidden room for his guns. A fucking cabinet comes down over the basement.
When, yeah, it's like the shelf works or whatever.
Shelf worked.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, when it's like remote override of the security box, I was like, oh god, this is so, we're getting so, far away from like the thing. Because like the daughter, you think like, oh, she's gonna like flip the switch now and that's like a thing that's gonna happen. But then it's like, no.
System remote override. All doors locked.
You know I wouldn't let you get away that easy.
Like she's in like the other bridge waiting to separate the saucer section of the house. Like she's like completely, in like a secondary command. Like you never see this like other command
this
center.
panic room.
But she must be somewhere else where she has like the real controls to disable those controls.
Yeah.
It's like so much.
There so much is like the name of the movie. Yeah. Like at one point, there's an electrocuted doorknob that they use in circuit to shock a dog off of Ving Rhames. So I'm like, okay, that's crazy. I like that. The house is wired with dynamite. Also crazy.
Not the best place to store it, in my opinion. But there it was. Just put the gun down.
I like that.
Exactly.
Just a big room of money, also fucking insane.
You won't!
So the thing with the door happened so early that it made me think like, oh, this is outlandish contraptions we're gonna do, which I was like excited for, and it's certainly
to a small degree there's like some outlandish shit going on.
It delivers on that for me, like just the house moving and doing stuff and weird connectors and weird shit like that.
Yep.
But yeah, the treasure room was the Goonies vibe, and it's just hilariously just in there, and the way he gets in there doesn't make it like this is the end of the movie where you're like, okay, like we'll talk about the transition in like a minute, but at the end when like the other mutant is like, oh, I have a gift for you.
They all have gifts for him.
You want to give me something?
For some reason, like he's the man to them.
But like the gift is like a door, and he's like, oh, and then he's like, oh, don't open it, and he goes, oh, okay, oh, I just have to yank these wires out and like bridge a thing, and I'm like, and then he says, I'll learn from the best, and I'm like, from Leroy?
And this was the first time you ever went out with him?
Yeah, like he literally last night was like, hey, you want to make some money, kid?
I know where you can earn some. You game?
Like you did not learn from the best or learn at all. Like, what are you doing? No. Like, what's happening here? And then that's the hilarious, like
just money on the ground room.
Like Monopoly money, little bags, I think, that have like money written on it and like
coins.
Pirate booty and like treasure. It's like a treasure room. There's a dragon coiled up in the corner. It's like, what is happening? Yes.
Yes. Someone posted that first coin that we see Leroy have is worth $719. In that year.
Oh, it's like a real.
So you're like, okay, so like that one, like it's like a golden American eagle or so, like it's some collectible coin.
Yeah.
It's like an ounce of gold, I think.
That's cool. It's a real coin though.
Yeah. So like the other ones presumably are other collectible coins, or at least modeled after them. So I'm like, okay, the guy, they do say he's a coin collector. He ordered coins or whatever from that liquor store that was robbed that he also owned, because he owns like the whole ghetto. And like I like that, but again, I feel like there's conflicting things here that just make the story make a little less sense.
Well, so like this is the transition I was alluding to earlier. Is like, he like gets out of the house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, because in my head I'm
with like a half an hour left. You're like, wait, what?
I was literally like about to say, like, I'm like, oh, so I guess he just goes back and then you realize, oh, he has the coins and they call the cops or whatever, like the epilogue. But no, like you said, he has to go back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and save Alice, and I'm gonna win against these crazy people, and I'm gonna rally the community off camera, I guess, so that they'll show up at the right time.
Alice is the most badass bitch in the fucking movie.
Great.
When she like drops from I don't know what and like grabs the mother by the head and like slams her on the ground, I'm like, what was that? That's amazing.
The extra slam, like the punctuation mark of like, yes, we,
like a superhero in a rated R movie.
I've saved the day, and then she gets up like, was that okay? And everyone's like, yeah, it was great.
That was
honey.
fine,
You
sweetie.
did wonderful.
You did good.
You did great.
She slips in blood earlier when like she's like cleaning it up. And
Clean it up, for God's sake!
I'm like, I think she just slipped.
I think
that
she
was
just slipped too.
Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah, exactly. No, she is in a couple of scenes that are like way. There's a point where her mother's forcing her to bathe in like really hot water.
Now get in that tub and scrub yourself! No!
And like one, I had that was very difficult for me to watch. I was like, that's like very upsetting. And then part 2, I think like the next time you see her, her skin's red, right? They like made her redder
to be like at least half a scene,
like one scene, like one little sequence. Where I was like, damn, like that's crazy.
Yeah. The thing that was weird, like, is the mother so crazy it doesn't hurt her hands at all?
Yes.
And the steam is definitely a smoke machine or whatever, but it's cool. Sure. I liked that scene.
Yeah, you feel it.
And especially throwing her in like with her clothes, so like even when she gets out, it'll still be burning on her. Yeah.
And just like screaming, and like the mom always screams back. They're like screaming over each other.
Grab yourself! The fires of hell are hotter!
And it's like very like, oh, help this! I want to help this person. This is like abuse. It's bad.
Her like cathartic. I make dolls of everyone that's dead.
Then she calls her out like, you're up there sewing when we're doing the real work down here.
Yeah.
Like, oh God. No, yeah, the abuse and like the rot and like the like how their evil is like accumulating these mutants in the basement. Like they're trying to contain until it finally like, you know, bubbles over and like boils over and like destroys everyone. Like it's this
it's great that they call them kidnapped children.
Yeah.
Because if you were to posit, like if you were to say these are their kids and they kept trying, I'm like, how many? What? They'd be just walking out. Like
we had octuplets at one point, and we just
because there's easily like 30 people down there, and like they are like superhumans because it doesn't make any sense. Just
another goofy element.
Yeah, because like what was holding them in the house the whole time that they couldn't just get out? And I get fear can be that thing. Like,
exactly.
He has a shotgun. He's killed many of us. We don't do anything. And at the moment you have a little bit of leeway, you start doing your thing. But they're bursting through walls like they're the fucking Incredible Hulk.
No, the ending is like a Twilight Zone or like a goofy. That's more the
That's Tales of the Hood right there. Yeah.
I don't want to keep referencing Tales from the Hood, but yes, it has that caliber, almost like more of a Tales from the Crypt, where at the end it's like, oh, and then this happens, and you're like, wait, what? Like, why does that happen? Why are they like exactly behind wherever she is, and they like a hand reaches out and grabs her and stuff
in like impossible places?
And like they're like in the cupboards again and stuff, and I'm like, wait,
how did you get in there?
I was like, that's not a cupboard that has a false back. That's just where another person hid earlier from the front though, and he just comes out of it, and you're like, what's happening?
And they mention when they first I think walk into the kitchen, they're like, oh, all the cabinets are locked. That's weird.
Right.
And then like people constantly are opening and getting in them without unlocking those cabinets. I'm like, I guess they weren't locked. I guess
we unlocked them once.
And they never relocked them.
Yeah, exactly.
Happens. You hate to see it.
Yeah, but the whole ending gets more and more kind of crazy for me. There's a point where there's like a tape recorder set up.
This is what I had to talk about.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay, perfect. There we go. Because like we're gonna talk about it, but my main complaint is that like the evil people are not even ready to pounce on him. And I'm like, I guess he was quiet, but like, it's still weird.
They are ready because they had to assume he was in the house.
Yes.
Because unless every night they play this recording and wait and see like, oh no, our unsavory's gonna kill us while we're sleeping.
Lord, my soul to keep. If I should kill before I wake, I pray the Lord.
And like, there's so much detail in that recording.
Yeah.
Like, there's like an error. Oh, you forgot to say your things. Oh, I'll say my prayer.
Oh,
like,
that's right.
It's such a crazy thing to do.
Night, Mama.
Night, Daddy. Say your prayers like a good boy.
Oh, I forgot.
Like I think it's in there to get that if I should kill before I wake, and you're like, oh, they're like an evil version of this or something. So they like twist one of the lines to make it like evil or something.
I think that's a reference to more of his movies because that prayer's in a lot of things.
Sure, it's some fucking
bastardized version. I think.
It's some dumb thing, whatever. But like that's not good enough. And then like the kid's like, oh my god, it's a tape recorder. What's going on? And then like I expected, bam, for like the dude to grab him. But he like jumps out and goes rawr, and then the kid like gets to run away a bit, and he chases him. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Like
there's a lot of that.
Like the floor should have opened, and it should have been like, this is a trap. You thought
it's lava.
You thought we were trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with us, which was the original thing. We're back to that, man. And then it's like another chase part, but no, it's awkward.
No, there's definitely some weirdness there because, like he gets away a lot from random things, either like a flashlight gets shined in his face or just, oh, I'm not going to kill you. We're going to put you in with those because they'll like everybody else they treat and dispatch immediately, but him they're like, let's let you be able to crawl through the chimney and get our daughter out of the like what?
Yeah, well, and there's some conflict there too. He even says like, you should have let me kill Alice. Like the mom doesn't want to kill Alice, and for some reason they don't want to kill Fool either. It's this weird like thing.
Do you think the dad's raping Alice?
That's okay.
He does a thing that, like, toward the end where he's like, come down. I have to go downstairs.
Yeah,
like,
well,
I'm
okay.
like, that's a weird thing.
Daddy! Come down from there and help me to bed. Daddy.
I don't know why that's in there. It's very awkward. And yes, so like there's more elements that are touching like the woke stuff where like I feel like there's a thing because he says like I know that boy's doing it with our daughter or whatever, right? Where it's like there's like a black kid who's like hanging out with their daughter and they have a weird vibe of like oh, this is like a sexual attack on her or something. And yes, the dad seems to be seem like their relationship as a family, a fucked up weird family, seems laden with weird sexual, like she's jealous of the daughter, and yes, the dad's doing something. There's a scene where he's going to beat her, it turns out, but the way he takes off his belt and like moves forward on her, I got vibes of rapiness like too. I
like that the mom's only direction is not the face, and then the first time the mother hits her, it's like in the face. I'm like, all right, you can do it.
She cuts her nose completely off. Yes,
yeah, you gotta have a party.
He's bad. He's awful. Go to hell!
It's the point where I was like, is that Seth Green? There's one of the mutants has red hair, and he looked like someone, and I was like, is Seth Green in all the movies from the 90s in the background, not talking?
He reminded me kind of the guy from The Burbs, and I'm like,
yes.
Is there a weird freaky mutant guy in every movie?
Pretty girl. Friend of yours?
No, it came with the frame.
It came with the frame?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, who is this red-haired mutant guy? What's happening
Maybe.
there?
This was Sean Whalen's first movie.
Okay.
Alice's name escapes me, but it's her first movie too.
She was good.
Yeah, she was
People,
good. She's in a lot of things that I've seen too.
Yeah. A lot of familiar faces, a lot of people who are good and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Even the kids. So like I joked maybe that like he's from like like the Michael Jackson cinematic universe. He was in like the Thriller video and he's in like the Moonwalker, like the whole thing or whatever. And I'm like, because like the whole time like I recognize this kid, but I'm like I don't know him or where he's from or what he is, and he was good when he's like do you know a prayer? Say it. When he's gonna like shoot the guy and he's like badass stuff, I was like, oh, this is interesting.
You know a prayer? Say it.
I hate when people don't take that shot when they have the opportunity. Then they drop him down the stairs. He was in Mighty Ducks, and I think he was also in Sandlot.
I don't watch that shit, so that explains why I don't know this kid.
Yeah, but it's like he had a big time right around this.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is probably the most featured he's been like then. At least he's like the main character.
He's in it a lot. He's doing a lot of physical stuff, and he's like talking a lot. He's cursing. Like this is a real role.
Toward the end, he drops a couple like harder curses, and I'm like, oh, all right. We're toward the end of the movie. Do whatever we want.
So I'm tired of fucking around. So either put the gun down now, or kiss your ass goodbye, boy.
So this is the pretentious thing. It opens, and I was really worried because it's like tarot cards and people are talking and stuff. But they do, like a good movie should do, they like lay it out where they say something like, "Oh, he has to turn around and like walk through the fire, and it's gonna burn away the part that's the the boy leaving the man behind." And then literally, it's like, okay, well, in the next hour, that's what happens to this character, like in real life. And he is.
The sister, she's very familiar, but I couldn't mentally picture where I know her from. But I'm like, yeah, I've seen you in something.
A lot of people, Grandpa too. There's a lot of people.
Oh yeah, Grandpa.
Like, you look like a person from A Million Things or something else. Yeah.
Grandpa, he plays chess in every movie.
He's the guy in the park playing chess.
But believe me, when I was a kid, none of us ever walked past that house.
And being like, I know things. I'm the wise guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's alright.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Oh shit.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinions